Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Sergeant Leanne Thompson. We warmly welcome the family of Flight Sergeant Ivor Hilton, whose story will be told shortly. We also warmly welcome Group Captain Matt Cottrell, retired, representing the Air Force Association. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and representatives from the Australian Defence Force cadets. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. If you're able, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Ivor Hilton Jury. Ivor Jury was born on the 12th of August 1913 in the Adelaide suburb of Torrensville, the son of Stanley and Catherine Jury. He grew up in the town of Renmark on the Murray River alongside his sister Thora and brothers Aubrey and Ernest. Ivor was a keen sportsman, playing Australian rules, cricket, and tennis, as well as being involved in running and competitive cycling. After attending Renmark Primary and Renmark Public High School, he studied at the University of Adelaide before going to work as a teacher. He continued playing Australian rules, winning the Kingdom Medal for fairest and most brilliant player in 1939. Ivor Jury married Dolores Louise Battelle, known as Dolly, on the 13th of January 1938, and 4 children were born to the couple. Maureen was born on the 15th of October 1938, Lindsay on the 25th of July 1940, Wendy on the 3rd of March 1942, and Michael on the 28th of March 1944. Jury enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 7th of November 1942. After initial training, he began training as a navigator and air gunner. After attending wireless and gunnery school at Ballarat, he embarked at Sydney on the 26th of November 1943, bound for active overseas service. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, air gunners, and flight engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. Arriving in the United Kingdom in January, Jury attended the School of General Reconnaissance at Squires Gate before joining number 132 Operational Training Unit in mid-August 1944. Number 132 Operational Training Unit trained crews to undertake operations in long-range fighters and strike aircraft, torpedo dropping and dive bombing. In early December 1944, Flight Sergeant Jury joined number 455 Squadron, a Royal Australian Air Force torpedo bomber squadron that became famous as part of the Anzac Strike Wing, formed from Australian and New Zealand squadrons. Based at RAF Dalurki in Scotland, the squadron was flying Bristol Beaufighters in operations targeting German shipping. On the 8th of March 1945, Jury and his comrades were briefed to undertake armed reconnaissance on the Norwegian coast. Taking off from RAF station Dalurki just after 2 p.m., 9 aircraft from number 455 Squadron were among the formation of 30 Beaufighters and Warwicks, escorted by 14 Mustangs. After reaching the Norwegian coast, the aircraft turned north and located a target, 3 merchant vessels and 3 smaller escort vessels. After a successful attack, 2 aircraft were missing, one of which was the Beaufighter that contained Flight Sergeant Ivor Jury and his pilot, William Mitchell. When no further information about the fate of the aircraft came to light, it was presumed that enemy fighters had shot down the aircraft into the sea. Flight Sergeant Ivor Jury was 31 years old. With no grave but the sea, today he is remembered at the Runnymede Memorial, which commemorates by name over 20,000 men and women of the Air Forces who were lost in the Second World War during operations from bases in the United Kingdom and North and Western Europe, and who have no known grave. His name is listed on the roll of honour on my left, amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Ivor Hilton Jury, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. In the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
We will remember them, lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today, and for your continued support during the Memorials Development Project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.